What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for Unscripted number 93 for your November 3rd, 2019. And this has been the last Thursday and Friday were the two craziest days, and I believe in the last 10, 15 years in WWE history. You had Crown Jewel, then you had Smackdown the next night. The plan was for them to have Crown Jewel, expedite everybody out immediately after the show was over, and be back in time for Smackdown on Friday. That did not happen. Outside of Brock Lesnar, who has his own private jet, everybody except for Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, and his production staff, Brock Lesnar, Hulk Hogan was on that plane too. Everybody else was in Saudi Arabia when I woke up on Friday morning. I went to bed Friday night, didn't think anything of it, didn't see anything about this happening, and then I wake up, very first tweet I see is Russell Votes tweeting about something's going on in Saudi Arabia. They don't have any more information. I go to the dirt sheets. Apparently, majority of the superstars in WWE are not going to be making it back in time due to travel issues. And the thing that we all need to talk about is this. WWE has done the Greatest Royal Rumble, Crown Jewel, Super Showdown, and Crown Jewel again. Greatest Royal Rumble, Crown Jewel 2018, and Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia had no problems at all. They went there, and then they left, and nothing was wrong. Now we get to Crown Jewel this year, and what is the one thing that happened on this show that has not happened on the first three Saudi Arabian shows? They touted it, and they wanted to do it more than anything in this world. They wanted this match to happen. The first ever women's match in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Is that absolutely true? I don't know if that's absolutely true. For all I know is it's happened at house shows, but nobody has said anything. But on live television, this was WWE's first time ever. Why would they do this? Why would they allow this to happen in Saudi Arabia? I don't know. I'm not the king. I'm not the king of the sporting authority person. Whoever is in charge of this shit, I don't have the answer. But I believe, and this is just my speculation, I believe that match, with as bad and as boring as it was a catalyst to everything that happened to why they were stuck in Saudi Arabia. Now, the reports coming out that maybe Saudi Arabia hasn't paid WWE for Crown Jewel, they haven't paid for Super Showdown, they haven't paid WWE all the money that they owe WWE, and WWE's not happy about that. I don't know. I've been hearing things about that, but that's not concrete. That is just rumor. But this is a very scary situation. This was a very scary situation. WWE superstars were tweeting on Friday night and Saturday that they were back in the States, so it's good to see that everybody made it back. But still, I feel bad for the superstars, the wrestlers, anybody that went with them, like the women, especially the women, Lana, Lacey Evans, and Natalya, because they could have been, they still had the most danger to them because they are women, and in Saudi Arabia, they don't let their women do much of anything. So, just having the superstars there, hopefully this will be the last time that WWE does a Saudi show. And honestly, if I was the United States government, I would block them from going to Saudi Arabia. WWE has to find a different route. Go to Australia, go to Germany, go to China, I don't care. Just find somewhere else that isn't going to do and cause this much headache for WWE. This was a massive mistake. Is the money worth it in the end for WWE to do what they did, to go to Saudi Arabia and put on a subpar show? Quite honestly, in my opinion, I think Saudi Arabia is a lot smarter than WWE thinks they are. And they see that they're not getting the best that WWE has to offer. They're getting subpar matches, a subpar event, and they're absolutely fucking tired of it. They don't want. It's great that they get The Undertaker, they get Goldberg, they get all these legends, but they expect to have a top-tier WWE show And when the show is over, they're left wondering, what the hell are we paying for? We are bringing these guys in, bringing these people in, giving them a shit ton of money to put on a show for us, and we're getting nothing but crap. Maybe they're sick of it. Maybe this deal is not going to last, and it's going to be Saudi Arabia who ends the deal because WWE comes over with a pedestrian effort majority of the time, and they're just tired of it. I don't know the answer, but to me, I think a lot of it has to do with Saudi Arabia knowing that they're getting bamboozled out of millions of dollars just to bring the WWE over there. WWE is not putting on a good effort. They're bringing back legends to give you bullshit matches like Goldberg and The Undertaker, which should have not even happened. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, yeah, Goldberg-Undertaker would have been a fucking fantastic match. Goldberg and Undertaker in 2019 should have never happened. Having Goldberg, the Undertaker versus Rusev last year at the Greatest Royal Rumble should have never happened. Shawn Michaels and Triple H DX versus the Brothers of Destruction at Crown Jewel last year should have never happened. You want to have these guys, these legends come back, fine, whatever. Do what you did with Hogan and Flair. That is fine. You have a tag team, a 5-on-5, doesn't have to be elimination, could just be a 5-on-5 match, a 10-man tag match, where one legend represents new superstars and another legend represents another set of superstars from today, and we don't have to see the legends go out there and try and kill each other just to put on and try to entertain in the worst fashion they could. So, and then we've had 4 events. The first event saw the Raw Tag Team Championships be vacated. Crown Jewel last year had the Universal Championship vacated. Nothing was vacated for Super Showdown, and then the Universal Championship actually changed hands. So out of these 4 events, only 3 titles were won by three matches. The rest of them have been matches that have been title matches that really don't matter. Go back to Greatest Royal Rumble, the only Saudi show I've actually watched because I just, I thought about giving it a chance. It was absolutely atrocious, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this again. And then the Jamal Khashoggi stuff happened, and it's like, I'm really not doing this anymore again. But WWE's got to find a better revenue than this. This was a terrible idea. There is absolutely no way that this 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia lasts 10 years. There's just no way. So that is their fault. It's great to see that everybody made it back. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got like nothing bad happened to anybody. Everybody's back. They spent way too long in that country. And honestly, this is Vince McMahon's fault. Fuck Vince McMahon. Fuck WWE corporate for putting everybody in that position that something bad could have happened. So that is my thoughts on the Saudi Arabian crap. The Saudi Arabia stuff that really could have been a very, very bad thing. And it's good to see that everyone made it back. Nobody got injured. Nobody got hurt. All I know is hopefully this is going to look like, hopefully Fox gets involved and is like, hey Vince, like, yes, we had a great show on Smackdown this week, but don't you ever fucking do this shit to us again. We want Roman, you advertise Roman versus Baron Corbin. We want Roman versus Baron Corbin, even though we as fans don't, but Fox sure as hell probably would. So, let's move on to what goes on from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, and the Crown Jewel, the 3 biggest parts coming out from every single show. Raw, of course, it was the final build towards Crown Jewel. You had Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman. I'm sorry, not Braun Strowman. Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar. Cain Velasquez came out to beat up, I believe it was Shelton Benjamin this week. Was that this week? So they had a little bit of a build to Crown Jewel. Nothing else really happened when it comes to that. You had the beginning of the show, which was absolutely excellent. Paige is coming out for the first time since her neck surgery. She brings out Kairi Sane and Asuka, the Women's Tag Team Champions, who have recently turned heel in the most bizarre way possible, I should say, because for some reason WWE figures, hey, if you use green mist, you have to be a heel. So they are heels. They come down to the ring. Paige says a couple words. Asuka takes the mic, says shit in Japanese and laughs. Kairi Sane takes the mic, says a couple things in Japanese and laughs. And then Paige just ends up eating the green mist. And that ends the entire partnership of Kairi Sane, Asuka, and Paige. Now, apparently, Paige wanted to be put in the Asuka lock. She wanted to be put in the Asuka lock to put these women over more as heels. And I'm thinking she probably wanted to be in the Asuka lock. And while that's happening, Kairi Sane is just sitting there laughing at her, maybe kicking her a couple times while she's in the Asuka lock. But the problem is, WWE's doctors are not going to allow that to happen. She is on the do not touch list. Do not have a bump list. So that got nixed, and they did the green mist. The green mist was fine. I mean, that would have been an awesome visual to see Paige, the woman that, she is loved by the WWE Universe. Paige is one of the most beloved women in this WWE today. People talk about, oh, Paige is coming back. That's why they broke her up from Asuka and Kairi Sane. It's like, no. Paige's neck was so messed up that she had to have a second surgery. If you go back, and I think it was there's a special on the network they did about it, and Paige was on there talking about how bad her neck is. Her neck is just so bad that if she was to take a bump on her, not a wrestling bump, but bumped her neck one time, she would probably be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. So they did the green mist. I was hoping they could have had Asuka kick her in the stomach or something while she was out on the outside. I mean, that's not that big of a deal. Maybe Asuka goes up to her and slaps her in the face. That's not a big deal. That's not really going to hurt you. That's not going to hurt her. But there's a do not touch list. And then the entire show, from that point on, was to build towards the King's Court divorce court. This was the final segment of the show. You had Humberto Carrillo versus AJ Styles. You had what was it? There was another match I can't remember. You had Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre, as I mentioned. You had so many other things on this show that were warranted for that main event slot. But you ended the show with Bobby Lashley and Lana making out over top of a prone, defenseless, holding his balls, Rusev. Making Rusev look like the biggest fucking pussy you have next to Seth Rollins. Then, you know what's sad for WWE? It has been confirmed that this segment does not sell. Sex sells? Not in 2019. This was WWE's ratings for Monday Night Raw, which we'll get into in a second, was the third lowest rating, non-Halloween rating of all time in the modern era. And the modern day, and this was in the third hour was under 2 million. If people were loving this segment, if people were enjoying this, thought this was good for WWE Raw, then that number on that third hour would have been up. I'm hoping this would kill this angle. And apparently Rusev is sitting down with WWE at this time, working on a new contract. If Rusev signs a new contract, a new 5-year deal with the WWE, if he signs any deal, I don't care if it's 6 months, I don't care if it's a week. If he signs a new deal with WWE, this guy is just another pathetic loser he doesn't care about wrestling and just only cares about making a fucking paycheck. He can get off my goddamn TV, and he loses all respect from the entire community. It's fine to make your monies, but you should be able to at least go out there and do what you do best, and that is go out there and in Rusev's case, crush your competition. You want to go out there and be embarrassed? That is just fucking ugh. Just in context. The Revival have not signed a new contract. WWE knew they weren't going to sign a new contract, so when they were brought to Monday Night Raw, what did they do with them? They embarrassed them. The Uzi-Han, the shaving back picture, the back shaving segment backstage, just getting picked on and beat up and jobbed and just embarrassed left and right. Do you really think someone's going to sign a contract when you're doing that to them? No. So WWE figured, oh shit, we can't do that. Because if we do that, they're never going to sign. So here's the thing. Let's give them the tag team championships. Let's give them the Raw tag team titles. Oh, we got to take them off them because we're going to put them on SmackDown. Let's give them the SmackDown tag team titles and be like, hey, look, we paired you with Randy Orton for a bit. We got you this high on the totem pole. Sign with us, please. And when they say no, because of the brand split, they're like, you know what, we're going to take Randy and we're going to put him on Raw. So Randy is on Raw. They're on SmackDown. They're even teasing Randy Orton. Randy Orton and them are teasing that they're going to be leaving WWE in 2020. Which honestly, all three guys, Randy Orton, Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder, if they left WWE, they would be better off. If Randy Orton went to AEW, worked, and here's the thing, if Randy Orton goes to AEW, they're only working Wednesdays right now. I don't know if they're doing weekend house shows later, but they're only working Wednesdays. The dude would be made because he wouldn't be on TV every single week. Maybe he does an AEW dark match here and there. Maybe he's on AEW every once in a while. Maybe he's in the pay-per-views every once in a while. But he would have it made and would be able to rest his body, go up against a Kenny Omega, a Cody Rhodes again, a Hangman Page, a Sammy Guevara, who he wants to actually work with. But the Revival, so it's like, yeah, they beat the hell out of them, they embarrassed them, and they were like, well, you know what? That's not going to work, so we're going to shower, we're going to make you one of Shane McMahon, two of Shane McMahon's cronies. We're going to give you the SmackDown Tag Team titles, pay you with Randy Orton. And they still haven't signed. I hope they don't sign, because they know they picked up on this bullshit. Look at Gallows and Anderson. Those two were staying, they should have been gone. This was going to be the month that Gallows and Anderson were going to leave WWE and be on their way. Look at them now. They signed those contracts. They won the Raw Tag Team titles for a minute. Lost on the Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. Then what? They haven't done anything until Crown Jewel, which they won that Best in the World trophy, which was an absolute joke. And watch. People are wondering, when are Gallows and Anderson going to be going back to, I don't know, losing? Quite seriously, they're going to be losing this coming Monday. Watch. We're going to have the Viking Raiders versus the OC's Gallows and Anderson. And Gallows and Anderson will get demolished. So basically, what you did with the Best in the World is make it even more and more unvaluable than it already was. But moving back to Rusev and Lana, why Rusev, who WWE has no care for, the biggest thing that he ever did outside of his undefeated streak heel run when he first came up to the main roster was Rusev Day, and WWE refused to go all the way. Refused. They had that match at Clash of Champions in 2016, I believe it was, December 2016, where you had, I think it was the Usos, it's 2017, not 2016. 2017, yeah. 2017, you had the Usos, the New Day, I think Breezango was in there too, possibly, and Rusev Day. Go back and watch that match with that fatal four-way. And Rusev puts that staccolade on, I believe it was Tyler Breeze. I believe, yeah, they were in there. Tyler Breeze and Xavier Woods. The crowd was just going to go ballistic. If they would have won those tag team titles that night, the crowd would have went home happy. It didn't matter what you did on the rest of that night. You would have pulled the trigger, gave those titles to Rusev Day, and you would have had yourself a fucking hot commodity in WWE. But what did they do? Nothing. They didn't win, and they kept going and going and going, and they just kept going downhill from there. And then they broke them up. And what has Rusev done since then? Nothing. What has Aiden English done since then? He's on commentary for 205 Live. But what have they done with Rusev? Nothing. They've embarrassed him. They have made him look like a fool. They've made him look like a fucking worthless piece of garbage. A sex addict, I guess. What's red-blooded American? Which he's American now, I guess. What red-blooded human human male isn't a sex addict at one time in their life or not? You're not telling me something I don't know, Lana. But again, it was garbage. I actually shut off Monday Night Raw and just went to cool down before I got ready to watch before I got ready to review Monday Night Raw. I could not stomach that shit. As soon as they're like, we're going to be back with the full squad right after this, I was like, I'm out. So Monday Night Raw was actually the only awful show this week. You had Raw on Monday, which was trash. Then you had NWA Power, AEW Dark, and Impact Wrestling on Tuesday. AEW and NXT on Wednesday. Thursday, if you watched, I watched NXT instead of on Wednesdays because I'm watching AEW. And then Friday for SmackDown. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 4 days in a row, I watched great fucking wrestling. Now, speaking of AEW, the biggest things coming out of AEW were Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho with one of the best, if not the best, contract signing we have ever seen in the entirety of contract signings. Usually you have them in the ring, face to face, just sitting there, talking trash to each other, sign the contract, somebody goes through the table. Face to face, talking trash, somebody signs a contract, through the table. This one, they're end to end. You have the AEW lawyer in the middle. Cody Rhodes doesn't say a word. Cody doesn't say a word this entire contract signing. Just signs the contract. He gives it back to the lawyer. Lawyer gives it to Chris Jericho. He gets up like he's going to attack. Got Cody to pop up too. He says his piece. And then he signs. Then comes out front. They both come out front. And he's like, I'm going to be a man because we're professionals. We don't have to resort to violence. And we don't have to resort to... This match is too important to put somebody through this table. So they shake hands. Chris Jericho goes to leave. Cody brings him back in. They just look at each other menacingly for a bit. Then Jericho's like, I could stay here all day, Cody, but I think you need somewhere else. And then we see behind them in that screen Sammy Guevara's face. And he pans the camera over, and Jake Hager is kneeing Dustin in the balls and slamming the door into Dustin's wrist, giving him a radial fracture. I don't know if that's legitimate. I believe that is legitimate because Dustin Rhodes was wearing a cast a day later. So hopefully he's going to be recovering soon. And just an awesome contract signing. And again, another reason why AEW is doing things right. We don't get the same paint by numbers contract signing. You sign, I sign, we talk for a bit, we brawl, and then someone goes through a table. Nope. One guy doesn't talk, he signs, the other guy talks, he signs, they get face to face, and they shake, and that is that. Gotta give it up to AEW for showing you how to do a proper contract signing. Speaking of the Inner Circle, though, Pride and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz, the former LAX, made their statements to the AEW Tag Team Division, the AEW Tag Team Titles, and the Young Bucks. Chris Van Vliet, later on in the show, was up on the stage wanting to talk to Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express. They're about 2 words in when they get hit with some slapjacks in the back, and Ricky Morton gets powerbombed through the stage. The Pride and Powerful look at the tag team titles and like, those are going to be ours someday. We might not be in this tournament, but we're coming for those. Young Bucks chase them off. Later in the show, the Young Bucks are with Kenny Omega, who dressed up as Sans from Undertale, which is absolutely awesome. I have never played Undertale, but I hear it's an awesome game. But after the match, the Proud and Powerful are wearing Rick and Morty masks. Young Bucks go over to shake their hands. The Santana and Ortiz hold on and pull them over and just start beating the living hell out of them. So they made a powerful statement going into Full Gear, and I can't wait to see that match. I fully expect that to be a show stealer. Absolutely. Maybe, just maybe, that might be a number 1 contenders match for the tag team titles. Who knows? SCU and SCU win the tag team titles. It was a good match, but the fact that they are the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. And their title match has something in common with Chris Jericho's title match, and that the women's referee, Aubrey Edwards, or Girl Edna, was the referee for both those matches. AEW finds her to be highly valuable, and I absolutely love that. Another thing on this show, which was absolutely fucking awesome, was Jon Moxley. Beginning of the show, after we see Cody and Tony Schiavone and Dustin at the airport, they show us a recap of last week. He talks to Tony Khan. We don't get to see him, but it's in behind closed doors. Tony Khan takes the match at Full Gear and makes it a lights out match. I already spoke on this for my AEW on TNT review. I am not a fan of the fact that they're going to start, like, the lights out match is really starting to sound like a crutch. It's starting to feel like it's a crutch for them when they book themselves into a corner and they don't want the loss to count towards either Jon Moxley or Kenny Omega. Let's make it a lights out match. When the loss doesn't count towards the competitor A and competitor B, then let's make it a lights out match. So that was something that we saw at the beginning of the show. Later on in the show, Peter Avalon's in the ring, gets hit with the Death Rider. I will not call it what they call it in AEW because that's just stupid. I like Death Rider better. But he goes out there, cuts a scathing promo, pissed off the fact that his match at Full Gear will not count. So basically, him being the Kenny Omega, let's pretend like it never happened. Fucking love it. If you haven't seen that promo, go check out Jon Moxley's promo. He shows you how to be off the script, unscripted, just out there, giving you his feelings. Hey, I worked my ass off since I came here. Since I debuted at Double or Nothing. I have targeted Kenny Omega. And now, I'm going into a match at Full Gear against Kenny Omega and it's not going to count? You can take this win-loss record and shove it up your ass. I fucking loved it. So, AEW, just Full Gear, on the way to Full Gear. That is actually going to be next week. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then moving over to NXT, Killian Dane does make his presence known as he is going to be on the hunt for Pete Dunne, who will be facing Damian Priest this coming Wednesday. That should be interesting to see what happens between those two. I fully expect to see, since War Games is coming up, I feel like we're going to have Pete Dunne versus Killian Dane be an undercard match for that show, which would be absolutely amazing. I think those two guys will go out there and steal the show from the War Games matches. And of course, I can't say anything other than the women's War Games match will be happening. Am I happy about it? I'm not mad about it. I'm not upset about it. It's just I feel like it's forced because WWE has to get that first time ever out of the way. The women's division in NXT, of course, is stacked. Absolutely stacked. If you compare Wednesday nights, like some people like to do, the women's division on NXT is by far leagues better than what you have in AEW. Of course, AEW is 5 weeks out. NXT is 7 years established. But the women's division right now in NXT is one of the best divisions they have had on that brand since the days of the Four Horsewomen. But Marina Shafir, Jessamine Duke, Tegan Nox, and Dakota Kai had no business being in War Games. For totally different reasons. For Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, they were absolutely atrocious. They don't belong in the ring, actually. They are no better than they were this time in January of this year or December of last year when they had that 6-woman tag match against Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and Bianca Belair, where the crowd kept chanting, "Please tag Shayna, you can't wrestle," to them. So I don't know what they're doing down in the Performance Center for those two, but they haven't improved one bit whatsoever, and it's absolutely sad. However, we're going to have a Women's War Games match, and going into Friday, Tegan Nox was there with Rhea Ripley, so I'm just going to have to say that it's been confirmed that it's Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox as your first two members, as your first member of Team Rhea, as Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler have been named captains of their respective War Games matches, of the War Games teams. And in the main event, we had an excellent tag team match, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee versus the Undisputed Era, which saw the Undisputed Era win by hook or by crook. and then Tommaso Ciampa come out to save the day and say, Goldie, you're going to have to wait because Daddy's going to war. Boom. So it looks like it's going to be the Undisputed Era in War Games again. But who is the fourth guy? There's two options and only two options. Johnny Gargano, but I think he's going to be busy with Finn Balor, which again, that is going to be another match that could steal the show. Demon Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano, that would be excellent. Or the Velveteen Dream, who is going to be gone for a while. Hopefully his back is going to be fine by the time we get to NXT TakeOver War Games. With this being live and not being taped, we could fully see the Velveteen Dream not being seen on television until 2 weeks from now, and the go home show going into War Games. Yeah, 2 weeks from Wednesday. So I'm going to say Velveteen Dream will be back on the 20th, Wednesday, November 20th, and he will make his return as the fourth guy for Team Ciampa. I'm going to say Team Ciampa. Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, Ciampa, and Velveteen Dream versus the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. So yes, War Games matches. The men's, I'm obviously more excited for the men's because they have more reason to be in War Games than the women. The women, you just have 8 to 9 women who just can't stand each other, or just fighting the hell out of it, like wanting to beat the hell out of each other. Let's throw them into 2 groups and have War Games. Whereas the Undisputed Era has been running roughshod over NXT for the last 2.5 years. They're like, you want 4 guys to go out there to go up against the Undisputed Era. Who's it going to be this time? Last year it was Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders. The War Raiders, Pete Dunne, and Ricochet actually won. So who's going to go out there to try and beat the Undisputed Era again? And who is going to be that fourth guy? Tommaso Ciampa's come back and he targeted Undisputed Era immediately because he wants Goldie. You have Matt Riddle, who's had his problems with the Undisputed Era. Keith Lee really hasn't until recently because he's bros with Matt Riddle, and of course he was there when Johnny Gargano got destroyed by Finn Balor. So who is going to be the fourth guy? Obviously, I feel like it's going to be the Velveteen Dream because I would love it to be DIY, but I don't see that happening. DIY, Keith Lee, and Matt Riddle. I just don't see that happening because of Finn Balor. I have a feeling they're going to do Finn Balor, like they're going to have Johnny Gargano come out, and then Finn Balor is going to attack him, leading to a brawl between him and Finn Balor, and that's going to lead to them at War Games. And then you have the Velveteen Dream, who makes his return for War Games. All I know is, out of the two, again, I am more excited for War Games with the men than the women. But this is NXT, and I have faith that Triple H and his crew will do everything they can to make that Women's War Games match worth watching. If you replace Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke with the Women's Tag Team Champions, I'd be like, okay, now you got me, Tom. Now you got it. Now you got me. Now, with the women, it looks like it might be a 5-on-5 because you did have 7 women. You had 9 women out there, and you have 1 woman missing who I'm surprised didn't come out there for this entire brawl, and that is Mia Yim. So if they're going to do a 5-on-5 women's War Games match, because War Games can be 4 to 5 participants. So if we get 5-on-5, then that's fine. It's a War Games match, but we'll have to wait and see. So let me know in the comment section below, who do you think is going to be in War Games for the men, and if Mia Yim will be in the women's to make it Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, Marina Shafir, Io Shirai, and Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, and Mia Yim. But let me know in the comment section below which one you're looking forward to. Moving on to the show that I refused to watch, but was the top of the news, because if you missed Crown Jewel, but you watched SmackDown the next night, you saw the opening match. Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar. It was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and they had time to kill on SmackDown. So let's show the entirety of Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar. The match sucked. The match looked awful. It looked awful on live television. I don't know why they showed the entire match. But Cain Velasquez got buried. Cain Velasquez absolutely got buried. Because after the match, he gets beat down with a chair because Rey Mysterio is foolish. He brought a chair in. Rey Mysterio got beat him down. He got beat down, F5'd onto the chair, and then Rey Mysterio brings another chair in and starts waylaying Brock Lesnar all over the ring in Saudi Arabia. So obviously they're setting up for Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio. Now, Brock Lesnar has done the job before to somebody Rey's size. Anybody remember in 2004, Eddie Guerrero? Anybody remember that? So I could fully see, with the help of Cain Velasquez, because yes, Goldberg helped Eddie Guerrero win his the WWE Championship. I could fully see at a pay-per-view or even on Monday Night Raw, we have a ref bump. Cain Velasquez comes out and just drills or knocks out Brock Lesnar, and then Rey Mysterio, 1, 2, 3, with the help of Cain Velasquez, is your WWE Champion, and he gets a proper WWE Championship run, not that bullshit they did back in 2011 where they gave him the WWE Championship and only to have him lose it to John Cena later that night. That was bullshit. Anyway. So yeah, he got buried. What else are you going to do? We'll have to wait and see. Brock Lesnar quit SmackDown. We'll talk about that in a second. And is moving to Monday Night Raw. The titles are switching brands. We'll talk about that here in a second too. Something that has been lost in the shuffle, I believe, as the Viking Raiders from day one in NXT until Thursday were undefeated. That means they have not lost a single match by pinfall submission at all. We get to this tag team turmoil. I didn't watch the show. But Revival get buried. It comes down to the OCs and the Viking Raiders. And what happens? The Viking Raiders lose. And nobody seemed to make a big deal about the fact that the Viking Raiders lost their unbeaten streak. I mean, when Asuka lost her unbeaten streak, it was at WrestleMania in a hard-fought victory for Charlotte Flair, even though that was a bullshit end there too. But the Viking Raiders lose to the OC, to call the OC the best tag team in the world, a team that has been buried 6 ways to Sunday, made to look like fools, made to look like idiots who even be signing with the company, but they won. Yes, I understand giving the trophy to a heel team makes the most sense because you're going to have that heel team come out and be like, we're the best in the world, we're the best in the world, we're the best in the world. But to have the Viking Raiders have to be jobbed out, give me a break. But the biggest thing, and we're going to talk about this extensively right now, is The Fiend. After what they did at Hell in a Cell, let's go back to Hell in a Cell. Right, well, let's go before Hell in a Cell. Before Clash of Champions, mind you. We're having a Firefly Funhouse. It's on Monday Night Raw. It's going fun. And then Vince McMahon pops up. The evil Vince McMahon puppet pops up. How dare you challenge Braun Strowman or Seth Rollins to Hell in a Cell? Right there, confirming that we're getting The Fiend versus Braun Strowman or Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, thus making the entire match at Clash of Champions worthless. So we get to Clash of Champions. That match happens. The match ends. Seth Rollins retains, and then The Fiend attacks, taking out Seth Rollins. And we're like, oh, this is awesome. This is cool. This is great. Now, let's not do it again. Oh, it's cool. It's great. You're not going to do that again, are you, for another couple of weeks, right? No. They do it the next night, then the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. Every single week making something like you had your Universal Champion at the time sitting in the corner crying because The Fiend is here. The Fiend is attacked. The Fiend is coming. So we get to Hell in a Cell. And they had one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches of all time. Now, the Fiend character, from my understanding, is that it was supposed to be the embodiment of evil and hatred coming from Bray Wyatt. It is the embodiment of everything that Bray Wyatt hates, that he has hated in this entire world. But to Vince McMahon, it's not that. It's a movie villain. It's a horror movie icon, like Jason, like Michael Myers, like Freddy Krueger. One of those guys who, throw off a 20-foot high rise, and they get back up. In this case, stomp, 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 get up, get up, get up, stomp, 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 get up, get up, get up. So we get to the end of the match. Fiend's just laying there, waiting to have his horror movie moment where he pops back up and hits the mandible claw. Seth Rollins is throwing tools. He's throwing ladders, chairs, tables, everything on top of the Fiend. He gets a small mallet, a.k.a. a sledgehammer. And the referee's like, oh, no, you can't do that. What are you doing? Don't do this. Well, he hits the mat. He hits a ladder, not even Bray Wyatt himself. And the referee ends the match on referee stoppage, which means the Fiend lost. The Fiend lost by referee stoppage. Then we get to the next night on Monday Night Raw, because that was atrocious. And the fans booed it like they should have. They said, we restart the match when the Fiend got back up and put him in the mandible claw and hit Sister Abigail. They were like, bullshit, refunds, everything in between. And then we get to Monday Night Raw. No mention whatsoever. No Fiend until after the show was over. No Seth Rollins whatsoever. Why? Because Vince McMahon knew he fucked up. Creative knew they fucked up, because nobody on Hell in a Cell night sat there and told Vince McMahon, this is not going to fucking work. This is a bad fucking idea. Nobody got it through Vince McMahon's thick head that this was going to kill the Fiend. That this was going to damage the Fiend worse than anything else that you could even imagine. But no, we went and they did nothing. We got a 2-minute package, a 2-minute video of stills of it. Nothing on the reaction, nothing on the end of the match, nothing. We went until the next Friday, which was Friday Smackdown, the first one on Fox. And we had The Fiend. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I wrong on that one yet? No, that's right, the draft came after Fox. But we went to the draft. Nothing. They still did nothing. They didn't even have the balls to talk about it on the Smackdown during the draft, other than having the Fiend pop up and pull Seth Rollins down to hell, only for Seth Rollins to pop back up as if it was nothing. Then we get to Monday, and they finally have a video package of the entirety of the match. What happened that night on Monday Night Raw? They burned down the Firefly Funhouse. Why? Because they fucking think this is a good idea. Another thing, the Firefly Funhouse, before they decided to burn it down and have Seth Rollins there, is supposed to play it off as if the Fiend is the actual Bray Wyatt right now, and the Bray Wyatt you see in the Firefly Funhouse is not a real place. It's not real. The Bray Wyatt you see is not real. It's in his mind. You're seeing inside the Fiend's mind. Having Seth Rollins just show up there, beat up Bray Wyatt, burn down the Firefly Funhouse, killed all of that. It's just a place backstage. It's just a room backstage. You damaged the Fiend. They had no choice on Thursday but to give him the Universal Championship. Had no fucking choice. They can't wait to have somebody pin the Fiend. They can't wait to make that Fiend tap out. Vince McMahon fucked the Fiend up. He got his muddy little hands on that and took what Bray Wyatt was making into gold. This was going to be one of the greatest characters we have seen since the debut of The Undertaker. Since The Undertaker before, in the mid-90s. Now, he's just another character they gave the championship to. Can we get rid of those red lights too, by the way? That shit's fucking stupid as fuck. But they have the match. I hear it was a boring-ass match. Stomp, 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 stomp. Which, by the way, kills that finisher. You don't have someone take the curb stomp. I don't care who it is. The curb stomp is supposed to be one and done. Randy Orton's RKO, one and done, except for Roman Reigns because he's Roman fucking Reigns. But it's supposed to be one and done. You hit the stomp, 1, 2, 3. RKO, 1, 2, 3. Spear, 1, 2, 3. F5, 1, 2, 3, unless you're Roman Reigns. But still, having the Fiend just continue to get up after every single fucking stomp makes that move look inferior to what it was before it happened. The only thing that I saw was what they put on Smackdown for this match. I do like the part that where they had the sparks go up and he's like, oh my eyes, and then you see the Fiend come up behind him. He puts him in the Man of Claw, Sister Abigail, 1, 2, 3. The Fiend is your new Universal Champion. They had no choice. If you brought the Fiend, and the way you had the match name, Falls Count Anywhere, this match cannot be stopped by any other means than a pinfall or a submission. So pretty much the referee is only supposed to do what he was supposed to do in Hell in a Cell. If you would have had the Falls Count Anywhere match be the first match that it was, where the match ended by a referee stoppage, I don't think people would have been as mad because we've had Falls Count Anywhere matches end in referee stoppage before. Then you get to Hell in a Cell, and you're like, well, we had that referee stoppage. This is Hell in a Cell. Nothing can stop this match but pinfall or submission. First off, you had the match at Hell in a Cell. If you would have given the Fiend the championship there, it's just like Rusev Day. When Rusev Day was in that match, that Fatal 4-Way, and you had Rusev with the Stackolade, and people wanted, if there would have been a tap out right there, and Rusev and Aiden English win the tag team titles, the place would have fucking erupted in adulation, and would have been happy as hell to see Rusev and Aiden English get their just due. You have the Fiend at Hell in a Cell. If you have the Fiend rightfully win the championship match on that night, you have him win the match on that night, then the crowd goes ballistic. They cheer beyond anything, and the fans are sent home happy. You didn't do that. You went to Crown Jewel, you went to Saudi Arabia, went to a country that didn't fucking deserve this type of title change. You went and took what everyone wants to see at Hell in a Cell, waited 3.5 fucking weeks to give everybody what they fucking wanted. This just shows you, this just proves that the only reason Seth Rollins kept the title at Hell in a Cell is because they had to draft the next fucking Friday and the Monday after that, so they really couldn't take the title off of Seth Rollins yet, because they did not want to have Brock Lesnar drafted to Monday Night Raw because the Fiend was getting drafted on Friday, and Brock Lesnar was on Monday. So they fucked up everything, and it's Vince McMahon's fault. Vince McMahon, do you expect... I have no faith. Yes, the Fiend's the Universal Champion. Yes, he's on SmackDown, but he's in the hands of Vince McMahon. He's not going back to Raw. He's staying on SmackDown. Any chance of Paul Heyman getting his hands on the Fiend to be able to keep the Fiend as special as can be, out the window. This Fiend, the Fiend is going to be, by this time next year, we're not talking about the Fiend anymore because the Fiend is just another superstar on the roster. This was the same guy at Elimination Chamber 2017 who beat AJ Styles and John Cena in back-to-back pinfalls to win the WWE Championship. How long did he keep that championship? Till WrestleMania. What happened after WrestleMania? He did nothing. Oh, we had the House of Horrors match. That was an abomination. He did nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, The Fiend, I have no faith that WWE is going to do the right thing. Make this guy a dominant champion. He holds that title till WrestleMania. Does he get a match on Raw, SmackDown every once in a while? Sure, why not? Have him go up against somebody, have the lights go down, lights come back on, the mandible claw, referee rings the bell, and we get a win. That's it. That's all you do. Lights go down, lights come back on, and the Fiend is gone. That's all you need to do. Not every week. Maybe, say, 2 weeks from now, he's on SmackDown. The lights go down, lights come back on, the Fiend's in the ring, whoever he's facing is like just awestruck and everything. Referee rings the bell. Mandible claw, puts the person down. 1, 2, 3. But they have a lot to do to make this guy relevant. Yes, there are people like, oh, just calm down and give you what you want. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't matter. You did it too late. Now, if they do things right by The Fiend and actually make him a dominant champion, then people will forget about Hell in a Cell. But right now, you should never not forget about what happened at Hell in a Cell. The Fiend, them giving The Fiend the championship and crown jewel does not justify what they did at Hell in a Cell. And to anybody who thinks otherwise, you are out of your goddamn mind. And then let's move on to, I think, the best part of the week for Raw or SmackDown is SmackDown. Of course, with Saudi Arabia and all the crap that happened over there, WWE's SmackDown was hamstrung by missing superstars. We were supposed to get a 6-woman tag match, which turned into a women's championship match. We were supposed to get Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns. We were supposed to get The Fiend or Bray Wyatt on Miz TV. That did not happen because of what happened in Saudi Arabia. So, we opened the show with Lesnar. We saw the match against Cain Velasquez and whatever else. Lesnar quit SmackDown, and he's going to Monday Night Raw. Lesnar will not be on SmackDown anymore. He's going to Raw. The WWE Championship is going on to Raw, which is fine. Keeps him away from Roman Reigns. I was so fearful that we're going to get Roman versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania again. That can still happen if we go to the Royal Rumble and Roman still wins the Royal Rumble. He could go to Raw, go for the Universal Championship, for the WWE Championship, and then that's that. But after Bayley and Nikki Cross had a pretty decent match, Shayna Baszler fires the first shot, beating up Sasha Banks, kicking Nikki Cross out of the ring, and laying waste to the SmackDown Women's Champion. Oh my God. She beat the living hell out of Bayley. After that, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle took out Sami Zayn. Tommaso Ciampa interrupted The Miz, beat him in a match, and a pretty decent match at that. Rhea Ripley, Tegan Nox took out Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville in a pretty short match after Bianca Belair destroyed Carmella and Dana Brooke. And then the main events. Oh, the main events. This took up over half of the second hour of SmackDown. Adam Cole versus the American Dragon, a.k.a. Daniel Bryan. For the first time ever, I hear, they said the first time ever, which I don't know if that's true or not, but for the first time on WWE television, Adam Cole defended his NXT Championship in the main events, and they had an excellent match. This was a fun match. Just a fun match. Go back and watch this match. If you watch anything this week, anything on Raw could not compare to what they did on this show for this match. This was a championship main event match. This was the best SmackDown we have seen since the SmackDown 6. I'm just going to say that now. Since the SmackDown 6, that was the best SmackDown we have ever seen. Now, I'm not saying strand them in Saudi Arabia every few weeks or so, but just send the WWE superstars from SmackDown off, don't do that. Send Vince McMahon off to let Triple H run the show. It's always going to be a Vince McMahon show. That does not mean that he ran the show. He just approved everything. Vince McMahon approves everything that happens on Raw and SmackDown, whether he's there or not. You call him up like, hey, man, Triple H, hey, Vince, we're going to do this, and this. He's like, oh, okay, go ahead. And that's it. That's all he did. He approved what happened. Triple H ran the show, Vince approved everything, and that's it. Excellent fucking show. Now, speaking of the NXT stars, they made it to the event by the skin of their teeth. They landed, they're chartered to get everybody here, Bianca Belair, the champions, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, all of these guys, to the show was 5 minutes. They landed in New York 5 minutes before the show went on the air. They made it by the skin of their teeth to when Bayley made it to when Shayna Baszler came out and attacked Bayley. They were so close. So That was, and thank God they had a police escort, because who knows how SmackDown would have been had that attack not been there, and had they not done what they did with all of NXT stars. Triple H warned Raw and SmackDown that you called us out, we're coming to war. Hopefully it's not going to lead to War Games, because we have two War Games matches happening the night before. That's a little overkill. I fully expect to see retaliation from SmackDown on NXT this week. Will we see NXT on Monday Night Raw? I hope that hell so, just to give us something, a little bit of a spice on Monday Night Raw. Now, before we get out of here, we're going to talk a little bit about the ratings and something else about Seth Rollins and his talks on After the Bell. Raw episode this week built around Rusev and Lana's marriage split angle last Monday ended up doing the third worst non-holiday number in the modern history of the show. The show did 2.13 million viewers on average, barely beating the September 9th episode this year and the June 10th episode against the NBA Finals. The only other show finishing lower were on the past Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, which do not count. Everyone throws those away, because who the fuck is watching a wrestling show on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? Football hurt as it does all fall, but that's not the excuse, since the Pittsburgh Steelers Miami Dolphins games did 9.98 million viewers, the lowest Monday games so far this season. What'd you expect? The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't having a good season, and the Miami Dolphins are tanking this season. Who the fuck's going to want to watch that? It was a 9% drop from last week's, with lesser competition, with significant losses in every hour. Raw was the 13th night on cable, also lower than usual. 911, which features Ronda Rousey and airs head-to-head on Fox, did 6.26 million viewers and was the fourth most watched show overall on television. Here's how this goes. The first to third hour drops were significant in each demo, with 18 to 49 dropping 26%, 18 to 49 dropping 13% for males, teenage girls dropping 12%, teenage boys dropping 15%, and over 50 dropping 11%. The final hour of the show did 1.98 viewers from the 2.3 that started the show. That is ridiculous, and that just shows you that when Lana and Rusev, the divorce court came on, people were shutting off. AEW and NXT hit hard as well, right? Because of course they were going up against the World Series. Everyone knew these two shows were going to drop. AEW did 759,000 viewers, which is down 21% from last week's 18 to 49. The show finished 6th overall on cable. NXT wasn't down quite as much in terms of either audience and the key demos. The NXT averaged 580,000, which is down 14% from the week last week in the demos. And the 18 to 49 demo, the show did 0.18, down 17%. The strongest demo for AEW was 18 to 49 men, where they averaged 0.48, rating more than double of the NXT's 2.23. They beat NXT in every category except for person over 50, where NXT has had an advantage every week, as well as women 12 to 34. A gap of 159,000 viewers between the shows was the smallest since the beginning of the Wednesday Night Wars, in quotations. Although with the smallest audience, the October 9th episode of NXT was closer in terms of audience percentage. The World Series game averaged 20.8 million viewers on Fox in the 2 hours that aired opposite wrestling. So, this number, just like Smackdown last week on FS1, they're going to be thrown out because everyone knew they were going to be low because of the World Series. Game 7. Game 7. That's like if the NBA Finals goes to Game 7. It's two competitive teams. Nobody's going to expect that show, the Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whatever's going up against the Game 7, to do well at all. So there's nothing wrong with them going down. Next week, this coming Wednesday, will tell us where Raw, where NXT, and AEW were going to be averaging about from here on out. It's going to take, I think, about January, around January time, when AEW and NXT might bump up. SmackDown. It's difficult to tell how in terms of the numbers for the November 1st episode of SmackDown. Numbers were way up last week's show, but that was obviously going to be the case, as the October 25th edition not only competed with a baseball World Series game, but was bumped to caliber FS1 because of it. The numbers were also up in almost every category over October 18th, the last Raw show ran on Fox. That show also had competition from live baseball with a playoff airing on FS1. how do you factor in all that stuff? Smackdown did 2.5. 2.5 in the rating compared to what they did on Fox last time was 2.4. So they were up over the previous week. So that is good. And quite honestly, I'm going to say this right now. The Smackdown that we saw this past Friday earned that 2.5. Earned. I was hoping it's preliminary, so we don't know what the actual number is going to be. That's just what they give us because it's Saturday. The ratings for the overall ratings for Saturday and Sunday don't come out till Monday. So, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday don't come out till Monday. So we won't know on the whole what that number was at until we get to Monday. But a 2.5, I'm hoping with it going up usually every time, it's going to probably be like a 2.6, maybe 2.7. That SmackDown absolutely earned that number. Two more things before we get out of here. Fox. I don't know what the hell they're thinking here. But WWE's deal with Fox, including a new studios, news show on FS1, and it's not sure if CM Punk will eventually show up, but Fox is bringing in a dirt sheet writer. The Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that Fox is bringing in Ryan Satin for a regular role on the new show. The pro wrestling sheet writer will reportedly have a role similar to Ariel Helwani, part of UFC Tonight. Fox did not consider anyone else for this role. Out of all the dirt sheet writers, you pick Ryan Satin of everybody else. Ryan Satin. The dude who has come out talking on Twitter that he stalks porn stars to get their autographs. He watches them, he sees them on Instagram, he sees where they're at, and he goes after them to go get autographs with him and his wife because they watch them while they're in bed. Yet you gonna go out there and get, I don't know, Brian Alvarez maybe, or Dave Meltzer, or who was it? Somebody else other than Ryan Satin. This guy is a fucking clown. I ain't watching it backstage. I wasn't gonna watch it anyway. Maybe if there's a certain segment like with Finn Balor after the FS1 airing on Smackdown, that was something worth watching. But this guy is going to drive people away. Oh, let's bring in Ryan Satin because he's a dirt sheet writer. Very bad idea, Fox. Very bad idea. CM Punk's not coming. They moved on for him. Let's just get that out of here. CM Punk is not coming to WWE backstage. They moved on a long time ago. Seth Rollins calling fans fickle and blames us for his downfall. Rollins was the first of 4 guests on the debut episode of After the Bell with Corey Graves, which was a mixed bag of a show in my opinion. Triple H was good. He sounded legit. He sounded like he sounded the best. Bayley, I don't know why the fuck you put Bayley on that show because he's out there asking for stupid fucking questions. Like, he asked her about the rumors, which she's already addressed from WrestleMania, and if that had anything to do with Sasha Banks leaving and had anything to do with her attitude change, and then she hung up on him, which I would have done too. Then he brings out talks to Ric Flair, asking dumb questions, asking about his shoe deal with Adidas. But of course, the first one was Seth Rollins. Seth says that you can just even branch to the tide changing back to last year when he was getting huge reactions for his rivalry with Lesnar. Rollins says that he doesn't understand what changed, but does know he's hurt by the current day reaction. Yeah, you're not going to listen to this. The funny thing is, you said all the way back to Tyler Black, but you can go 6 months, you can go back a year ago from Hell in a Cell. You know what I mean. I was everybody's favorite. Those same people that are panning the Hell in a Cell and talking about how Seth Rollins is not cool are the same people that are clamoring for me to be the guy that faced Brock Lesnar going into WrestleMania. So I don't know what changed except for the fact that I became the person that they wanted me to be, and then they hated me for it. It's a very fickle audience. It is what it is, but you answer your question directly. It feels awful, you know. It's not a good feeling to go out there and put your body on the line and not just in Hell in a Cell, but every single night for the past however many years that I've been doing it. I go out and compete at an extraordinarily high level, and dare I say, I'm one of the very best at my job, and I do what I have to do when I go to do it, and it's just not always pretty. But you go out there and you do your job and you do it well, and people don't like it, and then they forget that it is what it is, and so it hurts your feelings. You're a human being. You go out there and you hard work, and it's fine. All right, it's fine. You can have your opinion on it, but man, it's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. Raised and asked Rollins about being on Twitter, particularly his spat with. Well, okay, we're not going to talk about that right now. Seth Rollins does not seem to remember. Go back, not this past February, but the year before that, 2018, from the Gauntlet match, going into the Elimination Chamber that year. Seth Rollins, that Gauntlet match, that you beat Roman Reigns and John Cena in the same match, lasting almost an hour, about an hour in that match, putting on an excellent performance. Then you go into WrestleMania in that triple threat match against you, Finn Balor, and The Miz. Winning the Intercontinental title, giving us one of the best matches, one of the best matches, if not the only best match at that WrestleMania, having the only good match at Backlash last year, to getting into a feud with Dolph Ziggler, which had a little bit of up and then just fell down and fell on its face. Then, instead of being the guy going to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, we got Roman Reigns, where Roman Reigns won the Intercontinental title. I mean, the Universal title, not Intercontinental. But you were out there having excellent matches. People were loving everything you were doing. And then what did they do? Roman wins the Universal Championship. Let's bring the Shield back together. Dean Ambrose is back. You're with Dean Ambrose. Let's bring the Shield back and make everything that you fucking did an afterthought. What you did as a competitor is an afterthought. Everything that you put your body on the line for didn't fucking matter because you became Roman Reigns' bitch. Then Roman went away in October because of leukemia, and they turned Dean Ambrose heel. We all wanted that heel turn so fucking badly. But what happened? What happened? The feud was awful. They had Dean Ambrose say some of the corniest shit, act like a fucking jerk, act like a jackass, sound so stupid, sound so phony. And when we got to the TLC match, how hot Seth Rollins was in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September had cooled off, and the fire that he had was doused in the coldest of water it could be. Then he wins the Royal Rumble, and then the first feud they had with Brock Lesnar, the first build they had going into WrestleMania was absolutely atrocious. I didn't expect him to win that match at WrestleMania. I don't think anyone expected Seth Rollins to win that match at WrestleMania, but he did. Then Brock Lesnar won Money in the Bank. Brock Lesnar took the title off of him at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. And then you got the title. And before that, in between the time he won the Universal title and he lost it, he faced AJ Styles. That's fine. Throw that one away. That was good. Then you got into a feud with Baron Corbin. Then we had to then Lacey Evans. No, I'm sorry, not Lacey Evans, but Becky Lynch, in her wisdom, decided we're gonna go and have a feud with Beth Phoenix on Twitter, and we're gonna oust the fact that and put it in public knowledge that I'm dating Seth Rollins, which that is your own business. We didn't need to fucking know that. But WWE was like, well, we could turn this into a storyline. Every time Seth Rollins comes down, that's Becky Lynch's boyfriend. Becky Lynch comes down, that's Seth Rollins' girlfriend. You went from being cool to being one of the most uncool, unwanted champions in the company. Your feud with Baron Corbin was fucking awful. Then you lose the championship because WWE booked you to go out there, have a grueling Extreme Rules match, mixed tag Extreme Rules match, only to get beat. Instead of, if that Extreme Rules match had Becky Lynch, who just took an end of days and was out of the ring, if she came in and just attacked Brock Lesnar, screwing Brock Lesnar out of the Universal Championship, that place would have went ballistic and made Becky Lynch just as much over as she was before. But they didn't do that. They gave the title back to Brock Lesnar. And then what did they do? They had Brock Lesnar brutalize Seth Rollins again and again and again and again. Then he wins the Universal Championship. We get into a useless... And here's another problem. Seth Rollins is the Universal Champion again. Honestly, Baron Corbin they could have went back to the Baron Corbin feud. Thank God they didn't, because he did lose the championship. But they didn't have any heels. AJ Styles is up being the United States champion about this time, but they didn't have any heels to go up against him. So when we got in the Clash of Champions, they were out of options. So they had him and Braun Strowman win the tag team titles, only for them to lose them early in Clash of Champions. Then have him beat Braun Strowman, and then we got to Bray Wyatt. And then we went to Bray Wyatt, and they fucked that match up. And WWE's just piss poor booking of Seth Rollins, and the fact that on Twitter Seth Rollins has made a fucking ass of himself from having spats with Kenny Omega, having spats with Will Ospreay, talking shit on the fans. This is the fucked up part. People always talk shit about, oh well, Roman Reigns couldn't handle the pressure. John Cena made this shit look easy. Well, look at us now. Man, Roman Reigns made this shit look easy. Seth Rollins can't handle the pressure because honestly, Seth Rollins can't. Seth Rollins, as the Universal Champion, looked like an absolute joke. He could not handle it. You're supposed to be the biggest fucking babyface on the red brand, and you're on Twitter talking shit on your fans. You're on After the Bell talking shit on the fans, calling them fickle. When Daniel Bryan does it in the fucking ring as a heel, it was part of his fucking character. He's a heel character. He can sit there and call fans fickle because he was a heel. Seth Rollins, you're supposed to be the biggest babyface. You burned down the Firefly Funhouse, which everyone fucking loved. That made you look even more like an asshole. And here you are calling fans fickle and saying, well, I became what everyone wanted. I'm sorry, I never wanted Seth Rollins to be a fucking pussy who sat in the ring and laid down and laid in the corner and just sat there and had his eyes shut crying because the Fiend is right there, scared because a guy with a mask who you work with on a daily basis was sitting there looking at him menacingly with a mask on. Seth Rollins, with WWE's booking and on his own volition, has become one of the most uncool baby faces ever. And it's not just, and usually I would sit here and say it's WWE's fault and WWE's fault alone, and it's not. WWE booking has a lot to do with it, but Seth Rollins has hurt himself more than any other babyface. Seth, people like Roman Reigns, top babyface, 2015 to 2018, getting booed heavily, getting yelled at, getting told, "Shut up, Roman! Fuck you, Roman! Get the hell shut the fuck up!" And any other thing that you could say about him. Goes out on social media, goes out on interviews, man, and just cool, calm, and collected. Talks about, man, it's just a job. It's part of the job. People want to be polarized and they can. Towing the company line, but in a way that doesn't make him sound like a fucking asshole. Seth Rollins toes the company line and sounds like a fucking condescending prick. What else are you going to do? Seth Rollins has made himself look horrible. And it's his own fault. It's time that Becky Lynch... It's kind of funny because he's dating the queen of Twitter savagery. And he is abysmal when it comes to talking to people on social media. Seth Rollins will never be cool again. I don't even think the heel turn will fix him. I don't even think the heel turn would work. And I don't think they're going to turn him heel anytime soon because of who he's dating and who they publicly know is dating, because you're not turning Becky Lynch heel anytime soon. Unless you put Seth Rollins on Smackdown and keep Becky Lynch on Raw, I don't see Seth Rollins turning heel ever or anytime soon. But that is your Unscripted for this episode. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. If you haven't checked out Raw, NXT, AEW, Smackdown reviews for this week, go check them out on the channel. Go over to the France plays where I'm playing through Curse of Osiris. I'll be studying Warmind here in a bit to add to the YouTube channel. And that is going to be all for this episode of Unscripted. I will see you guys tomorrow for Monday Night Raw. Will NXT invade? Will WWE even acknowledge what they did on Friday? Or will we just go back to the same shit, different day? Till then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.